The Nightingale was more than just a ship, it was a symbol. Commissioned by the United Earth Coalition and sanctioned by the Galactic Council, it operated under the banner of peace, neutrality, and humanitarian service. It orbited the volatile edge of the neutral Expanse, a war-ravaged region where humans and several alien factions had agreed to a tenuous ceasefire. Its mission was singular: treat the wounded, regardless of origin, species, or allegiance. Its hull was painted in blinding white with massive Red Cross insignia visible even from space. Beacons broadcast its peaceful intent on every known frequency. Inside, hundreds of human medical personnel worked tirelessly alongside alien volunteers, saving lives from both sides of the war. For months, it had been a haven, an embodiment of the best of galactic cooperation. The Nightingale was where enemies became patients and politics paused for compassion. Then, without warning, the attack came. A dozen warships dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons charged and targeting, systems locked. They bore no flags, no transponder codes, ghost ships operating under a veil of anonymity. The Nightingale's automated defenses were minimal by design, intended to repel debris and rogue drones, not endure a military-grade onslaught. The first salvo shredded the outer hull, tearing through the operating bays and medical wards. Screams echoed across the comms. The bridge crew tried to send out a distress call, but communications were jammed. Emergency pods launched, only to be vaporized moments later. The entire assault lasted under 3 minutes. When it was over, 2,000 souls, doctors, nurses, patients, civilians, were gone. Not a single life was spared. But the killers made one mistake. They didn't destroy everything. A nearby trade vessel, cloaked and adrift due to engine failure, had witnessed the massacre. Its passive sensors had recorded the entire event. Though damaged and slow, it limped back to human space and delivered the footage. The reaction was immediate. The footage hit Earth's networks like a thunderclap. The people watched, stunned, as the symbol of their compassion was blown apart in cold, calculated brutality. Faces of lost medics and children filled the screens. News anchors wept on air. Protests erupted outside the Galactic Council's headquarters. Hashtags like Justice for Nightingale and You Do Not Touch Mercy trended across thousands of worlds. Earth's leaders convened in emergency session. The attack was clearly a war crime, a direct violation of the Interstellar Humanitarian Pact. The Galactic Council, meanwhile, issued a carefully worded condemnation and called for an investigation. But Earth knew better. Investigations would take years. Justice delayed was justice denied. Within hours, Earth's Strategic Response Council activated Protocol Hammerfall, a contingency plan created after first contact in anticipation of the unthinkable, a targeted massacre of civilians. It was more than a military doctrine. It was Earth's ironclad promise that no act of such evil would go unanswered. Earth's top military minds gathered in orbit above the Terran defense complex. Generals, admirals, AI command units, and fleet architects assessed, planned, and began assembling the might of a world once scarred by war and now unified in vengeance. Humanity had long outgrown its own civil conflicts, but it remembered them, and had built tools never meant to be used again. Until now. And across the galaxy, those who thought Earth was soft, those who mistook mercy for weakness, began to feel a cold dread settle in their bones. The Nightingale was gone. But Earth's fury had just awakened. The devastation of the Nightingale did not fade with time. If anything, Earth's grief hardened, condensed into something sharper, something resolute. The Galactic Council's indecision only fueled the fire. While alien diplomats offered platitudes and promised long investigations, Earth was already moving. Quietly, efficiently, and with purpose. At the heart of Earth's military apparatus stood the Strategic Response Council, SRC, a coalition of the most brilliant human strategists, tacticians, AI defense intelligences, and interstellar logistics experts. Within hours of the footage surfacing, the SRC convened in the Terran high-orbit defense spire. Behind sealed doors, they did not mourn. They planned. Protocol Hammerfall, an emergency doctrine locked behind 12 levels of clearance, was unanimously activated. It had been theorized, revised, and debated for decades. Created in case of an atrocity so severe it shattered all notions of diplomacy, its execution meant only one thing: Earth was preparing for absolute retaliation. The kind that made history. The kind that civilizations whispered about for generations. The mission was not blind vengeance. It was calibrated justice, measured and cold. Earth would not lash out indiscriminately. It would not scorch worlds or wipe out species, but the ones responsible, the architects of the attack, the cowards who sent warships against a hospital, vessel, would face a reckoning engineered down to the nanosecond. The SRC commissioned Task Force Nemesis, a strike armada composed of Earth's most powerful vessels. It would include ESS Judicator, a dreadnought-class warship bristling with kinetic rail cannons and hyperspace lances capable of destabilizing enemy gravity wells, Spectre Wing, stealth cruisers equipped with adaptive camouflage systems and anti-fleet sabotage drones, Valhalla Protocol units, AI-controlled destroyers running distributed battle intelligence capable of executing full combat scenarios independently across light minutes, Skybreaker, a newly unveiled capital ship with a classified propulsion system rumored to allow simultaneous multi-vector FTL jumps. Factories across Earth's moons and orbital yards ignited to life. Shipwright guilds were recalled from deep space projects. AI logistical cores optimized material output to the millisecond. Billions of Terran citizens offered volunteer support, from engineers to translators to medics, ready to contribute in any way to the cause. Back on Earth, the message was clear. Politicians gave speeches, but the true statement came from the fleets forming in orbit. Every Terran broadcast repeated the same phrase, translated into every known galactic language. You targeted mercy. Earth answers now. In private, the SRC debated the moral edge of their mission. The core question wasn't whether to strike. It was how to strike without becoming the monsters they opposed. The answer came from Admiral Sonia Rell, a veteran of Earth's intercontinental reconciliation wars and now commander of Task Force Nemesis. She said, "Let them see what happens when we restrain ourselves. Let them know what we could do. And then do only what we must. That will haunt them more than glassed planets ever could." The Council agreed. The objective was precise: identify the attackers, isolate the leadership, and dismantle the military-industrial complex that enabled the strike. No civilian casualties, no collateral destruction, but every responsible node, every link in the chain of command, would face the wrath of a united Earth. As the final modules of Task Force Nemesis snapped into formation above Europa, the fleet ran a final systems check. FTL drives warmed up, targeting systems synced across dozens of vessels, and encryption keys were burned into the fleet's shared neural lattice. Earth didn't scream. It didn't rant or rave. It built, it prepared, it unleashed steel in silence. And when Task Force Nemesis left orbit, the galaxy held its breath. Task Force Nemesis arrived without fanfare. No dramatic declarations, no warnings, no ceremonial banners. They slipped into the outer edges of the Drixari Dominion, a militant confederation of fringe systems, long suspected of operating outside Galactic Council authority. The Drixari were ruthless, xenophobic, and proud. They denied involvement in the Nightingale attack, of course. Their state media called it fabricated human propaganda, but Earth's intelligence had already confirmed otherwise. Classified, sensor data from stealth drones, decoded chatter from intercepted comms, and the telltale signature patterns on the munitions used in the attack all pointed to Drixari warlords. Worse, the Nightingale had recently admitted several wounded Drixari soldiers, only to be betrayed by the very empire their medics tried to heal. Earth had the receipts. The opening move was surgical. Spectre Wing, Earth's cloaked cruisers, breached Drixari space and disabled their outer sensor arrays. Not destroyed. Disabled. The goal was to announce Earth's presence on Earth's terms. As the outer perimeter fell silent, the Drixari High Command scrambled to react. By then, Task Force Nemesis was already in position. a halo of firepower encircling the Drexari core worlds. Then came the ultimatum. The ESS Judicator transmitted a single unencrypted message, broadcast system-wide. You attacked the helpless. You violated sanctuary. Surrender the architects of the Nightingale massacre. You have 1 hour. The response was immediate and predictably arrogant. High Chancellor Kravax of the Drexari appeared on the interstellar broadcast feed, flanked by armed guards. He laughed, mocked Earth's emotional weakness, accused humans of inventing the attack to justify imperial aggression. He closed his speech with a sneer. Come then, show us what your mercy is worth in war. He expected hesitation, bureaucracy, delay. What he got instead was fire and precision. In less than 20 minutes, the Drexari's outer fleet was neutralized, not destroyed but stripped of power, weapons and control systems by EMP-laced graviton bursts. Their orbital command centers blinked out as AI viruses dismantled security protocols in real time. Entire planetary defense networks turned inward, targeting their own systems in confusion. Earth's AI combat intelligences moved faster than any biological officer could react. But Earth wasn't there to conquer. Every strike was limited to military infrastructure. Civilian centers were deliberately avoided, even when that meant harder targets or longer engagements. Earth soldiers didn't revel in domination. They executed their duty with the grim discipline of a civilization forged by centuries of war and the determination to never repeat it. Meanwhile, Earth's intelligence operatives broadcast the evidence. Across the galaxy, planets watched live as intercepted Drexari orders confirmed the Nightingale strike. Footage showed the Drexari High Command authorizing the attack under the codename Operation Cleansing Flame. Their own memos detailed a plan to eliminate the optics of human superiority and mercy. It wasn't just a war crime, it was planned. Cruelty. Shamed and cornered, the Drexari people themselves began turning. Riots broke out on multiple colonies as citizens saw the truth. A rebellion sparked in the outer provinces. A faction of Drexari officials defected, offering full cooperation with Earth. Chancellor Kravax refused to surrender. So Earth took him. A stealth drop team boarded his flagship mid-broadcast, incapacitated his guards, and dragged him before the galactic media. He was bruised, furious, and very much alive. Earth handed him over not to their own courts, but to a newly formed galactic war tribunal. Humanity didn't just retaliate, it redefined justice. The galaxy stood still as Chancellor Kravax was dragged in chains before the Galactic War Tribunal. His defiance had collapsed into bitter silence, his pride crushed by the speed and precision of Earth's campaign. He had wagered Earth would hesitate, that they would drown in council politics or be paralyzed by their own moral code. He had been disastrously wrong. The evidence Earth presented was overwhelming. The tribunal, composed of representatives from dozens of species, unanimously declared the Nightingale attack a war crime. Kravax and his inner circle were convicted within days. The Drexari Dominion was ordered to dismantle its rogue military programs, disarm its orbital fleets, and submit to a decade of humanitarian oversight. But even as the tribunal passed judgment, it was clear to the galaxy. This verdict wasn't born from council courage. It came only after Earth forced their hand. Without Task Force Nemesis, Kravax would still be smiling before cameras, and the Nightingale's ashes would be dismissed as fog of war ambiguity. Earth didn't just demand justice. It created the conditions where justice became unavoidable, and then Earth stepped back. In an act that shocked even its allies, Task Force Nemesis withdrew after the final verdict, leaving Drexari space intact. They could have stayed. Could have occupied, dominated, and extracted reparations. Instead, they left behind only humanitarian ships, rebuilding tools, and a broadcast. Mercy was the principle you violated. It will be the one we uphold. You are not our subjects. You are our warning. This restraint reverberated louder than the entire campaign. It showed the galaxy that Earth's fury was not fueled by conquest, but by purpose. Their power was undeniable, but it was wielded with surgical care, bound by a moral spine that even Earth's enemies couldn't ignore. Inspired by Earth's actions, the Galactic Council ratified a new interstellar law, the Nightingale Accord. It codified absolute protections for medical vessels, stations, and humanitarian personnel. Any attack on such would trigger automatic multilateral sanctions and a joint military response. And though the Council claimed credit, everyone knew who truly authored that law, through sacrifice, action, and unrelenting will. Back on Earth, a memorial was built in orbit, an eternal ring of light where the Nightingale once operated. At its center floated Nightingale the Sang, a new hospital ship, larger, better defended, and permanently escorted by a contingent of Earth's peacekeepers. But more than weapons, it carried a message. We will still help you, even now. When Nightingale 2 visited Drexari space months later, the reaction was mixed. Some cheered, some wept, some remained bitter. But not a single shot was fired. The escort ships never had to raise shields. And across the stars, something shifted. Species that once viewed Earth as naive or overly sentimental began reassessing their perceptions. They saw a civilization capable of great violence, but committed to using it only when all else failed. They saw a people who could grieve deeply, strike decisively, and still choose compassion in the aftermath. In backroom strategy meetings across the galaxy, admirals and ministers updated their contingency plans, not just about war, but about how to avoid a scenario where Earth was provoked again. No one wanted to see a second Hammerfall. The lesson had been learned. You do not target mercy, not if you want your stars to keep shining. Earth had proven what many feared and a few hoped, that in a galaxy full of empires and warlords, it was not Earth's weapons that made it terrifying. It was the humanity behind them. And in the end, the galaxy did not fear Earth's vengeance most. It feared the day Earth stopped showing mercy.